So what are indications of cult follower behavior? Several things come to my mind. At first, doing activity X or eating food X or taking drug epsilon will solve all your problems. So you can observe this kind of behavior in all kinds of sects and cults. For example, Buddhists. There are many different types of Buddhism, and some of them they say if you meditate all the time and if you don't think anything at all, if you achieve not thinking in anything and being completely equanimous, what they call it, like free of any emotions and ready to see reality as it is without your own interpretation, then you will be completely happy and you won't have any problems anymore at all. You will be always happy all the time and you won't suffer at all. There are obviously advantages of a neutral perspective and objectivity and all this stuff, and being free of extreme rage and all this stuff, but many groups they misinterpret this, and they say like if you meditate all the time, then all your problems are gone. You won't have any problems. Then there are like food cults, where they say, if you don't eat any meat, and this is also included in many religions, if you don't eat any meat, you will be fine. You are morally correct. You have no health problems at all. And other people say if you eat only meat, you won't have any health problems. Eating only meat will solve all your health problems. If you eat only meat and animal products, everything will be fine. You will be basically a perfect human being, without any mental or physical problems. Then the same with drugs. There are like people who use drugs, and they say, the drugs, they increase your mental abilities and you can see more spiritual things. You become awakened spiritually, and if you don't take drugs, you can have experience all the full range of emotions and all the stuff. You cannot really look deep. And whenever you think that doing something will resolve all your problems, that's a typical that's a pretty clear indication that you are probably getting into some kind of cult behavior. The next thing is forgetting everything you know, or forgetting all beliefs you had before, and forgetting all the facts about life that you had before, and discovering everything new from a completely different perspective. This is also quite a sect-like and cult-like behavior. Obviously, you can become enlightened in some way. You can get new experiences and new knowledge in life, and which puts everything that you knew before into a new perspective, and you have the feeling that you understand more now. This is something that occurs in every person's life, but cults, they will claim that everything you knew before was a lie. Some kind of conspiracy or some kind of power lied to you in basically every aspect of your life, and you were a slave before, and now you awoke. You were asleep before, and now you woke up, and you are now you are the real person. And before, somebody was keeping you down, but now you are awoke, and now you are in control of your life, and now it's fine. And I don't say that there are no mechanisms of slavery in this world, you know. So for example, I believe that of course you are born into the modern state, and you are from the birth you're some kind of slave, you know. That's, I'm pretty sure that that's the case, you know. You're not free in our modern world. The day you get your birth certificate, you already kind of belong to a state, and you are registered, and you have to obey laws and whatever. And of course you can get experiences and knowledge that puts you above that makes you more free, that you say, wow, now I know this and my life is easier now because I don't have to do certain things that make me, that, you know, pull me down or whatever, you know, that make me more, that restrict me, you know. I can circumvent some of the restrictions because I know more now. That can happen, but it's never like everything you knew before is a lie and everything you know afterwards is the truth, you know. That's pretty, yeah, that's stupid behavior. This is cult behavior. This is what people believe, that, whoa, I'm so woke now. And it can happen with, like, you know, I took this drug and now I see everything, you know, better, or, you know, I had this experience and now everything is amazing, you know. Or, you know, people read this book or got this experience or this knowledge and now everything is fine, you know, which is, and this also means, and this is the next point, after this event that makes you awake, you also start mistrusting the friends you had before, mistrusting the family you have. You think that your family is, you know, kind of indoctrinated, and they don't know the truth and they don't want to hear the truth, and you just realize, I mean, things can happen nowadays. For example, with the whole migrant crisis, the stuff that is happening in Germany, if you are aware of that this is a bad thing and that this is very detrimental to the European countries, then you already are some kind of outcast, you know, mostly in your family. You will have very severe discussions with them. And simply because of the fact that the whole media is so pro-immigration, and people who are, you know, having a standard job and they don't have the time to research all this stuff by themselves, and they rely on the daily input from radio and television, they will believe that all of this is fine, there's no problem, you know, and we are the evil ones, we have to help these people, all this stuff. They will believe all that, and it will be very hard for you to discuss these things with them, you know. But still, they are still your friends, your family and everything, and you will not totally cast them aside, you know. But typical cult behavior is casting all your former friends and family aside, and, you know, move to Indonesia and go to the jungle and join some kind of community there who dedicates themselves to just one thing, you know, or to enlightenment, or to, you know, getting the truth or whatever, you know, become enlightened. And this is the next point. It leads to number 4. So one is doing one thing or eating one stuff will solve all your problems. Second thing is everything you knew before is a lie. Everything you know now is the truth, or, you know, you're now on the way to discovering the truth. Third thing, dismiss your old friends and family. Meet your new spiritual family now. You know, this is like part 3. We're all spiritually connected, not physically, bodily connected, you know. This is part 3. Now this leads to part 4. All humanity is one big energy, you know. You just have to, no, not humanity, the universe. You will be connected with the universe, with the eternal and global and universal good, you know. And you know, you have this huge perspective, you know. It's basically megalomania, you know. It affects all humanity, like the thing that you do, for example, meat eating or not meat eating, you know. So the vegans, they claim, if you eat meat, you destroy the planet, you know. The meat produces so much CO2 and greenhouse gases, and you destroy the entire planet, you know. And you are evil, because you you dare to kill and eat an animal. That's evil, you know, that disturbs the law of energy of the universe, and you create a disbalance and all this stuff, you know. Whereas if you look at the thing from a perspective of common sense, you know, if you just look at nature, you see that every animal kills other animals, you know. Even the cow that grazes will occasionally kill like a, you know, a little bug or something, you know, and chew it and eat it and kill the bug, you know. The cow is like a gigantic monster for little bugs, you know. If the cow grazes somewhere and there are bugs and ants and little worms, it's like you know, it's like the Moloch, it's like the devil for them, you know. It kills them mercilessly, and this is what happens everywhere in nature, you know. One thing feeds off the other thing. The same with you know, the other way around, you know. You're only eating meat, you know. If you eat plants, you destroy your brain, you destroy your gut and everything, and eating only meat, you know, will make you healthy and happy and everything. And but from a perspective of common sense, this is also not very realistic, because the simple fact that we used to be hunter-gatherers already disproves that, you know. Because of course we hunted for meat, but we also gathered berries, and in times of scarcity we experimented with all kinds of foods, and we came up with ways of preparing foods, you know. We came up with fermentation, where we took grains and we fermented them into dough and made a bread, you know, which made it more eatable, more digestible. It made the grain more digestible. And then you had fermentation. You turned the grain basically into a liquid, you know, into beer, which is also quite nutritious. And I think in the beginning it didn't have so much alcohol at all. It was more like a food item, you know, less like a drink, I think. So, and you had fermentation of like, you know, sauerkraut, which is a very nutritious food. And also certain types of cooking, I think, always served some kind of good, you know, either killing certain microbes, you know. I think the practice of cooking the steak a little bit on the outside is they probably started doing this because on the outside you have accumulation of dirt and filth and you know, maybe bacteria that are harmful, and you kill them by flipping it around in the pan, you know, maybe. And also other kinds of cooking were probably there for preserving the meat, you know, like smoking to make it more durable, to make it last longer, because you wouldn't always rely on the perfect luck when you were hunting and all this stuff. So this example with two extreme opposites, like eating only meat, or only animal products, or eating only plants, both of these ideas are false, you know. The human is not a 100% carnivore. He is I believe to a large extent he is a carnivore and an eater of animal products. But since animal products are not always available, and that and outside in nature there's a huge variety of food items that can be made accessible for humans, there emerged an evolutionary advantage for people who started using different food sources. And even the industrialization of food had for some time an evolutionary advantage. And you can look at the world wars, where the winning powers had a gigantic food supply, not only because of their colonies, but also because of their industrialization processes, you know. Without their food industry, they wouldn't have such a big food supply, and they would have probably lost. So in this case, even industrialization has an evolutionary advantage. But obviously, this is a balance that tilts at some point, you know. So industrialization, if it is continued, it leads again to an evolutionary disadvantage, where the consumers of the industrialized food just die out because it's so poisoned, you know. So there's like a payoff, you know, like a balance. Like in the beginning, when you use processed food, it might have an advantage in a certain extreme situation, you know. Just imagine you are stranded in the Arctic, you know, and the only food that you have is processed food from Aldi, you know, or from like the worst, not Aldi, you know, I don't want to shame Aldi, but just imagine the worst type of processed food that you can buy anywhere, and you have that in your backpack in the Arctic. Still, this kind of food will probably keep you alive, and maybe long enough to get, you know, to get some help. But obviously, on a large scale, on a grand scale, industrialization of food supply and industrialization of medicine is a degenerative and dysgenic trend, and it will kill off the population again, in which case the population will return to more natural food habits, and this will always seek out some kind of balance, you know. So yeah, artifice and technology will emerge to help you survive, but it will also hamper your ability to survive on natural ways, and then it will degenerate you, and then the natural ways will come back, and there will always be this play, you know, this play of the two forces. And this is just a way to look at things more rationally and think about it more, and not to dive into cult behavior. And you can see this also with the climate movement, you know, like the climate, it's obviously a cult, you know. Part 5, which I forgot maybe. Part 5 is creating some kind of group and shutting yourself off, you know, from other people, and refusing to talk with people outside your group. And this is what the climate dudes, for example, they do. If you say you don't believe in human-made climate change, and you don't believe that climate change is bad for the planet, you are evil for them, you know. And I have had reactions with these people that made me think, wow, in another circumstances, this guy would kill me, you know. He would. So cults, they dehumanize outsiders. They say outsiders are not human, they are harmful, they are evil, they believe in the devil or whatever. And by the way, you can find all these tendencies, you can find all these aspects in all, you know, big religions, you know, in Abrahamic religions, in Christianity, in Judaism, in Islam. You can find these things, especially in the more extreme sects. But also in the mainstream movements, you can find exactly these behaviors, you know. And yeah, and this especially tricky is the thing with the universal love, you know. Like, you know, you often talk with people who believe in the Bible and stuff, and they always say, you know, but the thing is the universal love, that everybody loves each other, you know. And yes, of course, you know, everybody wants to be loved and seek love, you know, but every kind of love leads also to war and to hatred, because these people who claim that we believe in the only God and we have the universal love, but if you don't love them, they will hate you, of course, you know. I mean, there's no way that they just love you just the way you are, no. They will always try to, because they think they have the ultimate truth, you know. So you don't fit in their worldview, you know. Whereas non-cultish behavior is like, well, I have this view and you have yours, and that's fine, you know. You can live over there and live your life, and we live here and do our stuff, you know. We don't claim that everybody has to change their behavior in order for the world to work, you know. But this is, for example, what exactly the climate people do. All humanity has to change now, otherwise the world will go down. And this is maybe point 6, the apocalyptic perspective, you know, the how would you call that? Eschatology, I don't know. The belief that if you don't do X, if not everybody does X, the world will end. You know, this is the next indicator for if you probably belong to a cult, you know. Anyways, that were my thoughts on cult behavior, and yeah, maybe you found it interesting.
Мысли потаённые, бестолковая любовь. головка, де забув.